Hello, I'm Bridget Bolliger from Play with a Pro. A little bit about vibrato. It's something very personal, of course, and something which not a lot of people like to talk about because it should be natural. And for me, it's actually like one's own perfume, and you can even very often know who's performing by just listening to the way they express themselves with their own vibrato, their own perfume, so to speak. But just because it needs to be natural doesn't mean that we shouldn't practice it. So just a few tips about vibrato. Obviously, we don't want the vibrato to be too wide, otherwise it's going to be out of tune. Too high, too low with the waves, then we get very bad intonation. And we also don't want it to be too fast and frenetic because, well, then it might sound like a billy goat. And of course, there's a time and place for some crazy vibrato, but just to get a really natural vibrato which you can use to express yourself, it's important to practice various speeds. Okay, so slow speed, faster speed, until we get to a stage where we can make a vibrato that's very, very tasteful. I'll try something in Mozart's flute concerto. You see, so I just make a little bit of a vibrato throughout. It's always spinning throughout, and I don't want to make it too wide. We don't want this, I don't feel, because this is just too much. But in order to get the vibrato that you want, you have to practice speeds. For example, and then, so I did various speeds there. And I'd like you to ask yourself also, what happens at the end of a note with vibrato? Does it get slower or does it get faster? Or what actually happens at the end of a note? For a long time I asked myself this, and I've realized that what happens is the vibrato gets slimmer and peters off to absolutely nothing. But if we get wider towards the end of the note, then we don't get a very natural, gorgeous ending. I'd love to tell you more about this in my lessons on Play with a Pro.